You are in for a treat. This was such a good conversation I had with my friend Jenna Kennedy. And we took this in so many different directions, which I'm not surprised. We were talking for like a half an hour before we even started recording. I was like, okay, wait, we just need to start recording. But Jen, actually, she was my business mentor a while ago now. I mean, back in like 2020, 2021, 2022, like around that time. She talked about her story. She doesn't do business coaching anymore, but we've always had such a good connection. And she recently is doing a lot more work around positive psychology and happiness and dopamine and all these things. And I'm like, I need to bring you on the show because so many women listening to this, whether you are trying to conceive and you've been trying for a really long time and you feel like it's hard to find that joy every day, or not every day, but just like most days, or you're a mom and you're juggling one kid, two kid, multiple kids, and maybe you're even a mom and you're trying to conceive, or you're going through postpartum identity crisis. And like all of us have had that feeling before where you're just like, blah, like you're just like you're not depressed, you're not happy, which we talk about this in the show. And it's like, how can we really create small little things that we can do each day to bring more joy into our lives despite going through a hard season, despite not yet having whatever the thing that you currently want is. And she took courses on the science of happiness, on positive psychology, and all this stuff. She's so well researched. So we really talk about like things that we are currently doing that is negatively impacting our dopamine, which is causing us to feel unmotivated, lethargic. We don't feel like doing the things. We're just like feeling lonely, disconnected, and what we can do instead to actually feel like we have more excitement, more joy, more satisfaction, and more meaning in our lives. It's such a good conversation. We obviously go so many different directions with things with motherhood and shame. And we talk about like stigmas and what else? I mean, we just got into so many different pieces of life in this conversation, habits, how you can make habits stick. Like, oh, it's so good. I'm just going to stop talking so you can start listening to it, but I know you're going to love it. We really got into some more deeper conversations about like creating more meaningful conversations with friends and opening up about hard things towards the end of the episode. Oh my God, it's so good. You're going to love it. Oh, I can't wait for you to listen. Let's get to it. Okay, Jenna, I was like, all right, we just have to start rolling because we've been talking for like a half an hour already. But I'm so excited. You're back on the show. You were actually on the podcast years ago.
Like a decade ago.
Yes. It feels like that long ago. So for those of you who don't know, Jen and I mean, oh my God, maybe like 2020 or 2021, we like became connected. Yeah, because I left teaching in 2020. So it was like right around there.
It was when the first time we chatted, you were still teaching.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So
I had just left teaching. I left only a year before you.
Okay. So 2019, you left.
Yes.
Okay. So 2020. So we know each other since then. Okay. So Jen in her former life, which you'll go through her whole story, but she was a business mentor and I worked with her for like, I don't know, 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
We went on retreats together, like that she hosted. It was like, oh, the best, such a different time in our lives. And it's just everything is so different from then. But we always had such a good connection. And recently you're doing like different things now with your platform and your business and all this stuff. And I love a lot of things that you're talking about now that we're going to get into in the show with like motivation and dopamine and happiness and all that stuff. But before we get into that, just do like a little overview of your story. Whatever you want to like share from it of like, you were a teacher, you're a business coach, now you're here, you're a mom now, like whatever you want to share from it, just to them to get to know you.
I think I just like start off with like, I've lived so many different lives in the past like 10, like I literally look at my last like 10 years and I'm like, whoa, that's what people do in their whole entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Like I joke, I'm like, oh yeah, my first life, I was a teacher training to become a principal. And I just loved helping people. You were the same exact way, but we didn't realize that we could help people other ways. And so then I became a nutrition coach. So doing, different type of work, but similar to you. Mm-hmm. And I grew a nutrition coaching business and that's what got me out of teaching. And which was weird because I loved teaching. Like I never really wanted to leave teaching because I loved it, but I did because I found this whole new world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
From there, I like kind of stumbled into business coaching because my business kept taking off. And that's what I didn't realize at the time was what got me into entrepreneurship was helping people feel good in their bodies, get control over their bodies, be confident in their bodies, and really understanding how their mind and their bodies work. And specifically for me, it was around helping people heal their relationship with food because I had an eating disorder for most of my life. And so, that's what got me into this whole entrepreneurial space. And then I became a business coach because my business was working so well. And then I
Yeah.
did that for a couple of years. I got it, I always grateful to say I grew a 7-figure company and, kind of hit the pinnacle of success that everyone has on a vision board, the money, the car, the house, whatever it was. And I honestly kept waking up just being like, this kind of isn't what I want to be doing with my life. And if you told me that when I was younger and struggled with money and everything my whole life, I would have thought you were crazy. But I just kept waking up with this feeling of like, there's got to be something more to life than this. And whether I think everyone can relate to that, whether it's a business or a relationship or whatever it is. And I just kept giving that feeling. And one day I just started to shut my business down. And there was a lot that went into it that I won't get into detail here. And then once you shut down something that you've been doing your whole life and you put your entire identity in being a hardworking high achiever, I spiraled into a pretty gnarly depression after that. And from there, I found this love and this passion for mental health that I didn't even realize that I had. And that's kind of led me to what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. So that's really why I wanted you to come on the show because, I mean, no matter what anyone's going through, but a lot of women listening to this are struggling to get pregnant or having their own issues outside of fertility too. But and probably have faced some form of whether it's a depression or feeling like it's harder to be motivated and keep going and find that like bits of happiness. And you really I love your new podcast. You talk about it in such a great way of like just how anybody can feel happier, because I feel like so often too now, like in just our generation, like we're on social media more, we're just like so disconnected, and that obviously causes a lot of unhappiness even if we don't realize it. Like I'm sure everyone could relate to waking up and just being like, I'm not that happy. I remember you did a post on TikTok and it was like your therapist asked you, what makes you happy, and you were like,
I don't know.
don't know. Like it's true. If someone asks like what makes you happy, it's like, wow, it's a good question. You know what I mean? We get
Yeah.
so wrapped up in our busy lives, our jobs, our career, like everything, that it's like I don't even know. Like,
Yeah,
and
we just go through the
especially,
motions and we don't recognize that we're
yes.
not connected. There's a reason why that one went viral. I think it has like 2 million views right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't, when you create content, you don't know what's going to pop and what's
Yeah.
not. And sometimes things just pop to pop, and sometimes there's a real reason. And that one, I read every single comment that I ever receive on anything, and I just kept reading the comments, and it was women from 60s to just graduated, college, and they're like, I literally cannot answer that question. I have no idea. I'm a mom of 5 and I have no idea. I'm
Yes.
pregnant. I have no idea. And
Hmm.
it really is like, let's talk about a real epidemic. Like it's true. I like looking at, I'm super nerdy and I like looking at data and research and science and information. And there's this thing that nobody knows about. It's a happiness index that every single country across the entire world takes every single year. And the
Oh,
United Nations started integrating it like 20 years ago. And right now in the United States, this is the first time that we've not been in the top 20. Our happiness ratings are declining at like rapid rates in the US.
I'm not shocked.
And yet, this is what's interesting, right? We have more access to information than ever before. We have more
Yeah.
access to like neuroscience and the truth behind it. We have more access. Antidepressants are at like, I think it's a 200 or 400, I can't remember, percent increase of
Whoa.
people being diagnosed and taking antidepressants.
Wow.
Youth is down in happiness. Adults are down in happiness. Like we're literally the least happy we've ever been, yet we have more access to all of this information than ever before. So it's like,
Wow.
what's the disconnect? So putting something out and saying like, I woke up at 33 years old and my therapist was like, do you know what makes you happy? And I couldn't answer the question. And here's the thing, I wasn't depressed. I worked my way out of depression,
Right.
and I assumed that a lack of depression equals happiness, right? Because I was in depression for about 6 months, and then only to find myself there and being like, shit, I'm not happy. But I'm not depressed, but I'm not happy. And that's when I really became passionate about like, how do we actually be happy? Because it's not the way that we think. And then the more I started doing the research, the more I realized this isn't just me. This is literally an epidemic. Like, this is a problem amongst every walk of life, every income level, every race, every ethnicity. Like, we're all struggling.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that you're like, I'm not depressed, but I'm not happy. I feel like probably everybody, not everybody, because there are some people who are depressed, or some people are obviously happy, but like at least at some point in your life, people could connect with that feeling of like,
Oh,
okay, I'm not clinically depressed, but I'm also not happy. And we just are so used to that. So
yeah.
I definitely want to talk about, and your depression happened before you were pregnant, right?
Yes, my
Okay.
depression was exactly 2 summers ago. August was
Okay.
like, well, June, July, August was like the depths and the crux of it.
Okay. And your daughter's going to be one like next month?
Yeah, October.
October, yeah. Okay. Oh my god, it's so crazy. I know, it's so crazy. Okay, so that was then, and then okay, so yeah, so she has a 1-year-old daughter too, for context. Okay. So I really want to talk about how like you do on your podcast, like the hits of happiness and like what makes us happy. So like
Yeah.
let's just talk about that too, of like what makes us happy. Because a lot of times we'll think like, oh, I'll be happy if I watch like a Netflix show, or I go like, do just like random things like that.
Yeah.
But for like the woman listening who is like she's struggling to conceive maybe, or she's a mom and like there's just so much going on. She feels like she maybe lost her identity, which you went through when you stopped your business, which,
Yeah.
and obviously you probably went through it too when you became a mom. You kind of lose that identity piece a little bit. Like it's still
For
going on.
sure.
It's like just a never ending thing.
No,
um
you're constantly losing your identity in motherhood.
yeah, every stage is different. Every like milestone they hit is just like all new and different. But
Yeah.
I really want to talk about like even when, because the thing is, it's like you could be happy even when you're going through hard, difficult times. Like you would find moments of happiness, which is what I really want to talk about, because this like fertility journey or motherhood journey, like it's like could be a long road for people. And so I want to help them find how they can feel at least moments of happiness
Yes.
throughout hard times.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because we have a lot of misconceptions around happiness. One,
Mm.
what you just said, which I think a lot of women get in with fertility and with motherhood. And I know that this might be hard to hear, but there's a lot of belief of like, I'll be happy when I get pregnant. I'll be
Yep.
happy when my husband does this. I'll be happy when I make a certain amount of money. And this is actually proven in science. It's called the arrival fallacy. It's literally like, it's not real. Like, and you know this, I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be
Yeah.
happy when
Oh,
I
it
lose
doesn't
baby
happen.
weight. Like, there's this belief of like, let me put my happiness here because for some reason my brain has deemed this the pinnacle of happiness. And unfortunately, what happens is that we reach that point, we reach that achievement, we reach that positive test. And while it might bring you momentary like hits of happiness, it's not going to bring you long lasting happiness and fulfillment because we think that happy is this emotion and then we have to kind of chase this emotion. But
Mm.
the reality is that it's not really this thing that we chase. It's actually when these things come together and we can be like, these are the things that actually help me live a happier life. And research shows that's enjoyment, that's satisfaction, and that's meaning. That you live a life that you enjoy, that you're satisfied with you as a human, like who you are and your life that you're living and the people in it. And then you actually are living a life of meaning. And there's so many different things that we can do to make sure. And that's my hit of happiness. Like, how can we
Yeah.
kind of bring these things and give you this piece of information so you can take it in your life? But I think it's important. And right now, if you're listening, you're like, but I really want this baby or I really want this body or whatever it is, think about a time in your life that you really did put like this, like your happiness in something, right? When I get the job, when I make a certain amount of money. And remember the feeling 6 months later, a year later, when you were like, okay, it just is what it is,
You get used
And
to
so
it.
you get used to it. And this is also science proves this to be true is that we get used to it. Our brain normalizes it. If our brain normalizes it, it's not giving us those feel good hormones like it used to. So we have to stop relying on this and really rewire and recondition our mind so that we actually can build happiness instead of chasing these moments and these hits of it.
Oh my God, I love that. So it's like building enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning in your daily life.
Yes.
I love those words. That's so much easier, like in my brain too. It's like to like latch on to. It's like, oh, enjoy, like what do I enjoy? What makes me feel satisfied? What like can give me meaning? Like those three things could be a lot easier to like help you build than thinking of like happiness.
For sure. Because think about it. Like I was happy this morning and then I got really freaking annoyed at my husband.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yes.
and so it's again, we think it's an emotion, but our emotions are temporary. Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually like building our lives and it's very complex, really, in a
Yeah.
way in which we are satisfied. We do enjoy our lives. We enjoy the people and ourselves that are in it. And then we also have meaning. Like we need meaning. And,
Mm,
there's a lot of times that we chase things that we think are going to give us, this feeling of this meaning, like being meaningful, but it really doesn't. It's just empty. For me, my entire life, it was money and success. I chased it. Why did I chase it? Because I didn't have it growing up. And so
yeah.
for me, money and success were safe. Like if I could have money and success, I would be safe.
Yeah.
Nobody would leave me, nobody would abandon me, and I could outrun the fear and the scarcity that my family lived in my entire life. Well, I
Mm,
did that. And then I got there one morning and I kept waking up being like, is there something more to life than this? Because that meaning is very shallow. Right.
right.
So we want really deep meaning in our lives. Like we all know this. We want to feel connected to people. It's actually
Yeah.
like one of the indicators of happiness. And so we've got to be discovering those three things versus just chasing.
I love that. And you got, where'd you go? Yale? You took a class at Yale for Have Happiness?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't physically go to Yale.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I mean, like, of course, you know what I mean?
So there's a course. It's Yale's number one course, The Science of Happiness and Well-being. Was the first one
Okay.
that I took. I've taken a lot of positive psychology courses since then, but
Okay.
it literally breaks down, Dr. Laurie Santos, like the actual science of happiness and how do we,
Mm,
because this is another thing is we don't see the things that are under the hood, right? We don't see dopamine levels. We don't see serotonin. We don't see oxytocin. We don't see our endorphins. Like we don't see our fulfillment meter. Like we don't see these things. And all of these things that are going on, the neurochemicals in our brain and the neural pathways in our brain, like they are responsible to helping us be happier. And
yeah.
so I wanted to actually learn like the real science of what's going on underneath it
Yeah.
all so that we actually can take hold of it. Just like for you, what you do with hormones. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, if your estrogen's low, you might not feel it. Or if your
Hmm.
progesterone's low every single month, you might not feel that.
Hmm.
But it's probably the reason why this is happening in your body.
Hmm.
And so you naturally help people enhance that. We can do the same thing with our brain chemicals.
Okay, I love that. And so the dopamine. So you have some podcasts on this too, and I want to talk about that. Of like, I want to like start in the morning for people too, especially because I've worked with obviously so many clients and I see what they're doing in the morning. What most people are doing in the morning, they're like waking up, going to the phone, rushing around, going to work. Like it's such a easy way to set you up for failure for like
Mhm.
that dopamine production, not feeling happy, all of this. So like talking about like just dopamine production and all of that too, because that obviously helps us feel happier,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. What are things that that will negatively impact our dopamine and what are things that will positively impact it so that we can help support ourselves to feel happier each day?
I love it. Well, first let's dopamine. What is dopamine, right? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that and a hormone and chemical that literally is responsible for your satisfaction. So we just talked about how important that is, pleasure and reward and motivation. So it's a huge
Mm,
hormone that we need to understand for happiness, right? So if our dopamine is low, what are we going to feel? We're going to feel unmotivated. We're going to feel like we are not very excited about life. We're not going to be happy. We're going to feel pretty sludgy. Like we all know
mm,
those feelings when you're just
yep.
like stuck in bed and you don't want to do anything, or you just overall kind of have this like heaviness of you need and want to do these things, but you can't get yourself to do them. Those are signs and symptoms that
Yes.
your dopamine is low. So I always
Mm,
like to start with like, that's what it's responsible for. This is how you know you're low in it. So if you're waking up in the morning, you're having a hard time get going, you're having a hard time sticking with things, you're having a hard time setting goals and going after them, like you're
mm,
overall feeling off, it's probably a sign that your dopamine's off. Now let's also
mm.
preface this with if I was a betting person, which I'm not, I would bet that about 95% of people are depleted in dopamine
Yeah.
because
100%.
we live in a world that actually, what do people want? Our attention. We
Mm,
like people pay for our attention everywhere we go. What is
yes.
attention? It's dopamine. So
Mm.
notifications on your phone, that's dopamine. Scrolling on social media, dopamine. And
That's
what's going,
taking your dopamine.
that's taking it. Well, what's
Okay.
actually, what it's doing is it's giving us spikes of dopamine. So
Oh,
when
okay.
I
Oh, so
have,
we're okay.
yep, when I have a notification on my phone, I'm like, ooh, it gives me that feeling of like, ooh, this feels good. And then you look at
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
right? And then when our dopamine spikes, this is what we have to know. Think about like, those balancing scales that we used to do in like chemistry in high
Yeah.
school,
Yeah. Do they
right?
exist anymore? But yes, I know what you're
I
talking
hope they exist.
about.
So think about it as if your dopamine is going up, then it's going to equal and opposite go back down. So it's
Okay.
going to rise and then it's going to crash the equal and opposite.
Mm.
So what happens is that we're on our phones and they move faster. We touch them. We have more notifications. We have another DM. We think about how quick we go through stories, TikToks,
Oh,
all these things. Dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. This is why we can't get off our phones, even if we want to be on them,
wow.
because dopamine is very addicting. We all want it.
Mm.
Addicts, alcoholics, people who are addicted to our phone, which I just listened to an addiction specialist. She says 96% of us are. So
100%.
let's stop acting like we're not. We all
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
right? Why is it so addicting is because of the dopamine. So what's happening is we're going through it and it's spike, 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 spike. But then what's going to happen?
It's gonna go
Crash,
down.
crash, 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 crash. And this is
Wow.
why if you check your phone first thing in the morning, you get a massive, it's the first one of the day, you get this huge hit. And then what happens is your brain is going to search for that same hit all throughout the day, and it's going to search for it the same exact way. So if you were on
Mm.
your phone for 20 minutes first thing in the morning and you just got your dopamine hit and then you feel like crap and you're like dragging yourself getting ready and grabbing the caffeine, which is also messing your cortisol, then at work, on your drive to work, when you're at the bathroom, every single moment that you can, you're going to grab that phone. So you actually can wire yourself for that dopamine addiction first thing in the morning, or you cannot wire yourself with the dopamine addiction first thing in the morning. But again, we don't even realize that we're doing this, and it's
Wow.
so hard to break if you're on it first thing in the morning. So what I do is listen, if my phone's next to me, I do not have the willpower, I do not have the ability. I know this about myself. I'm going to grab it. Even if
Yeah.
my daughter is in bed, I'm going to grab it. It's
Yeah.
horrible. I'm going to. So
Right.
I sleep with it outside of my bedroom and I have a
Yeah.
classic alarm clock, guys, a good old fashioned alarm clock, because I know that I'm going to mess my brain chemistry up first thing in the morning if I do that. And then what do I feel all throughout the day? I'm not motivated. Oh, that to-do list, I'll get to it tomorrow. Like I'll
Mm.
literally my dishes pile up in my sink, my laundry doesn't get done. Like I've studied it within myself and there's a snowball effect every single day when I'm on
Wow.
my phone first thing in the morning.
Okay, wait. Wow, that's so good. I need to go back. So you said the your body's going to search for that same type of dopamine hit that you started off with in the morning. So like we obviously want dopamine, but the source that we're getting it from matters
Yep.
with how it actually like feels in our body and not getting that crash. So like if we do things that actually support our dopamine in a better way, will
Yep.
we still get a crash from it, just not as much, or
No.
we won't get a crash if it's like a natural dopamine?
If it's natural, you're going to have a natural baseline, just like how we all have a
Right.
natural cortisol curve,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Like if you're naturally doing things to give you these feelings of like these dopamine, that's supporting your dopamine, it's
Mhm.
just going to be a natural little curve like this, and it's not a
Right.
big deal,
It's not a
right?
spike.
Like it's
It's not like taking a shot of espresso and then spiking it down.
yes, it's like,
Okay.
oh, I'm just going to enjoy this cup of coffee with protein. Is going to
Right.
be very different for your body than I'm
Yes.
going to take this shot with some sugar in it. Right?
Right.
So we do want to do things. This is why people will tell you, make your bed first thing in the morning,
Yes.
right?
Yo, I listened to your episode. We were talking about this. I always was someone that made my bed first thing in the morning, but then obviously Madison sleeps with me. Like she
Yeah.
goes to bed in her bed, and then some point in the night she comes into my room. And so I stopped doing it first thing in the morning. I would do it like after breakfast or whatever. Cause now that she's like walking around, whatever, when I try and make it, she jumps on it. And it was just like a mess. And I needed her to be like occupied before actually like doing it.
Right.
But so I would wait till like later in the morning and I'm like, oh, and I heard you talk about that. I'm like, no, I have to get back to doing it like as close to the morning as possible. So I'll like give her a coloring book or whatever, or like now she'll wait at the end. I'm like, okay, you have to at least wait to go on the bed till mommy finishes making it, and then you can mess it up or whatever. But at least it's made. Because it was so hard to do, and then I was get frustrated. So I'm like, I'm trying to make the bed, and you're jumping on it. Um, but anyway,
Yeah, funny
yes,
that you said like first thing in the morning, you're ready to do it. But
yes.
even 2 hours later, it's like somebody's asking you to paint a room.
I'm just annoyed that it's not done already.
Yeah. And you're like, why do
And I'm
I
like,
like
oh,
motivation
I have
wears
to
off?
do this. Yeah. And it takes like 5 minutes, but I'm like, oh, I hate that I still didn't do this yet.
I know it's literally just same thing with like the dishes. How many of us look at the dishes and we're like, oh my God, and then you literally look like you're a teenager, like living in your college dorm again.
It
You're
takes
like,
like
what the
three
heck? Like
minutes.
literally a grown adult. Why can't I do this? Is because your
Yes.
dopamine is so low, you don't have the motivation or the drive to do it. And so
Mm,
when that happens to me, I'm like, I'm not trying to willpower my way there because we all know willpower is like the biggest lie that's ever existed. It's like I look at it and I'm like, why am I not motivated to keep my house clean? Like, what's up with me right now? Where
mm,
did I get cheap dopamine today that I literally can't even be a functioning adult and do my own dishes? Right. And
yes.
again, what we don't realize is like it sounds silly. It's the dishes, it's making the bed, but this is a symptom that your dopamine's low. If it's a symptom your dopamine's low, you're going to have a hard time setting goals, going after it, going to the gym, eating well, like whatever you want to be doing. It's literally the same exact thing. It's affecting the same area of your life. And so yeah, it's just being aware of these things. So if you make your bed literally first thing in the morning, you just gave yourself a really good golden star of good healthy level of dopamine. And then
Mm,
what's like literally watch this. Like if you're listening, do an experiment. Like do your phone first thing in the morning, monitor yourself throughout the day, make your bed. And another thing that I do is I go right into the laundry room and I'll do something with the laundry, whether it's fold
mhm.
a couple pieces of it or I switch the laundry because that's a huge thing, especially with ADHD that I have to rewash laundry all the time, right? Or I put laundry in. It's like, so I hate doing laundry, but if it's like, if I can do that, it gives me a really good solid dopamine. I feel good about it. So I'm all about mastering your dopamine and your cortisol first thing in the morning. And if you can do that, like you are setting your foundation strong for the entire day
Okay,
and
I
for
love.
your.
So like different like tasks, like household tasks will give you good dopamine is what you're saying. Like making your bed first thing in the morning, emptying the dishwasher, like doing something like that.
Yep. Think about dopamine as we all know this. You love making a to-do list and you love, you know, that feeling of checking it off and you're like, oh,
Yes.
I'm so satisfied.
Yes.
That gives you healthy levels of a dopamine boost.
Okay.
So let's say that you have, you know, you know, one of those magnet like dry erase boards on the fridge, and it's like everything that you want to do. If you can cross something out first thing in the morning, oh my gosh, it's going to
Oh,
be
it's the
so great.
best.
Tidy something like, you know, wash the table down, whatever it is, incredible for yourself in the morning.
Yes, I love that. I have like a home opening like routine that I do, and I feel like so
Oh, I
just like
love that.
opening all the blinds, like putting Maddie's stuffed animals back in her crib that we took into my bed at night, like doing all of that in the morning before I like brush my teeth, whatever. I'm like, okay, I feel like I got like everything like set for the morning.
Yeah. That's
Which,
dope. That's so much dopamine. That's so
yeah,
good.
okay, I love that. Yeah, so little things like that, and all right, so that's something. What else? What are other things besides the phone that could maybe be negatively impacting someone's dopamine in the morning?
Phone's the biggest one,
Okay.
honestly, because that's going to be the biggest like spike and crash. There's
Okay.
other neurochemicals that we can maximize in the morning that we could be messing up. You know,
Okay.
one is making sure that you're outside getting sun,
Oh
making
yeah.
sure that you are like keeping your own energy with you and you're not like rushing off to be on your computer, tasks, things like that. Like really taking ownership of your life first thing in the morning is going to be massive for your happiness and your mood and obviously eventually your hormones.
Yeah.
So definitely getting outside. I mean, we do not spend enough time outside and
Oh my god.
getting outside, sun first thing in the morning. And I know right now everyone's gonna be like, but what about the winter? Still get yourself outside, like
Mhm.
10 in the summer, 20 in the winter. The sun on your face is going to naturally increase serotonin, which serotonin is huge for your energy and your mood and your emotions. So if we
Yes.
can get that, it's going to help increase our serotonin, which actually helps us sleep better at night because it's going to
Yes.
support you in making melatonin later on. So that's a huge one that I do. I take my dogs out, I take my daughter out, and we literally just stand in the sun. Now I've got my chickens that I go visit, and so I get my
Love it.
sun there. But
Yeah.
that's going to be another big one for the morning too.
And that also helps regulate your cortisol levels, helps regulate your blood sugar. Like getting your sunlight in the morning is so, so helpful. I have my light therapy lamp because those of us who live in the Northeast in the winter don't see a lot of sun sometimes. So, which you are from Michigan. Um, but okay, so I want everyone to make their bed first thing in the morning if they can, unless their partner is like still sleeping or whatever.
Make it
Um,
for them. All right.
Right?
Just make it over them.
Yeah, literally just tuck in your side. And then like pick one other task to like do in the morning, like household wise, I guess, and
For
just
sure.
see how that like impacts your day without going on your phone. This
Yes.
is so huge with I talk about this phone thing with my clients all the time, the morning and the night specifically. And it's like, it's such an addiction. But it honestly, like when you start doing it and you get into the habit of not having the phone, like you notice you do feel so much better and it makes it easier. Or like you said, just put it in a drawer, put it away so you don't see it.
For sure.
And I feel like it gives you, because sometimes the stress will be like, oh, but I got to check that email or I got to do this, that. And I'm like, you will have so much more productivity and motivation to actually do those things more efficiently if you don't do that first thing in the morning
For
than if you
sure.
do.
Yeah, and there's also, this is not rooted in science of happiness, but this is just a serious, like honest reflection for all of us is why are we making ourselves so available to our phones? Like, why are we making it okay that, let's say that it's an email from your coworker. Why
Mm-hmm.
are we making it okay that our coworker can be in our bedroom at 7 a.m.? Like, why are we
So
making it
true.
okay that there's people, you and I run online brands, like, and I
Mm-hmm.
love every single person that I talk to online. I love the community that I have. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love it so much. And also, why am I making it okay for a woman who I've never met in my entire life to be in my bed with me and my daughter at 9 a.m.? Well, we're not in bed at 9 a.m., at 7
Yeah.
a.m. Like, why am I making that okay? I think that
So
we live in
real.
the world of work from home and online businesses. And even if you don't work from home, your work is in your home because you have it on your phone. And
Yes.
what we don't realize is I guarantee in the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to be seeing studies on the negative effects of not having boundaries with
Yes.
our phones, with people, with all of it. Like, even if you're like, well, my mom or my sister calls me, why is that? Why are we becoming mom, sister, whoever else, friend? Why is that role taking precedent over our own happiness, our own health, our own family, and our own life? And so
Mm,
once I started to make that switch and then understanding how addicted my brain was, I was like, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want it for my daughter. And I sure as hell don't want it for me. I
mhm.
shouldn't be available 24/7. It's literally making us sick and we just don't realize, and we don't have the studies that prove it yet.
No, it's so real. I have this is something I struggle with at night of like I have a girls chat and sometimes it'll be like firing off like at
Right.
night. I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss like sharing funny stories, whatever. I'm like, oh, I want to, but then I'm like, no, I want to like actually go to bed and read my book. But sometimes I'm like,
Right.
oh, but I want to like see what's going on. And it's so hard sometimes
Yes.
to like really be like, no, I will just read this at some point tomorrow. And a lot of times I do, like sometimes I don't. It's like hit or miss, but
Sure.
it's that feeling of like, oh, I don't want to miss out, or
Right.
I don't, and that's like an own internal thing too. Maybe some other people don't feel that way towards it, but it's like, it's true that availability, even if it's friends, family, whatever, it's like, why do I feel, and I'm talking to my therapist about it, why do I feel the
Right.
need that like, oh no, I have to be available? Because if not, like, oh, what's going to happen?
Completely. And I think about it like, if these people showed up at my door right now, would I be happy to see them?
Right. It's so
No, I'd be like,
true.
why the hell are you at my house? Like, why are
Yes.
you here? And I think the biggest thing is just intentionality and conscious choosing of it. Right. Because
Yes.
there might be times where if my mom, FaceTimed me and I'm laying in bed with my daughter, I'm like, oh my gosh, let's chat with Nene. Like,
Yeah.
that might be nice. Right. But
Yeah.
we want to have the conscious choice, because if we're unconsciously grabbing at these things, doing these things, and it's negatively affecting our dopamine, our serotonin, our oxytocin, our belief in ourselves, our love for ourselves, our hormones, then all of a sudden you're living a life that's not yours. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you don't know why you're not happy. It's because you literally look around you. You haven't created this life. You've unconsciously just said yes to it without even recognizing it.
Yeah.
And so we want to be conscious of it. Where, yeah, there are some nights where I'm like, all right, let's get into the good stuff. Like, what's going on? Let's
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
And then there's other nights where I'm like, I really don't want to care about this right now. I actually want to just like
No.
go actually talk to my husband for like an hour, maybe,
Yeah.
you know? So it's just
Uh-huh.
intention behind it. And knowing that
So
if I
real.
choose this, is it adding to my life?
Mm, that's so real. It's like the intention piece. Like I'll go to my phone to like order something on Amazon and all of a sudden I'm on Instagram and I'm like, what did I just go on my phone for? Like I literally forgot. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait. I didn't even come on my phone to do this. And it's just like automatic go to it. And I'm like,
Isn't
holy
that
shit.
crazy?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then you're like looking at someone's story and you're like, I literally don't even know you. I have no idea who you are. And I don't, and I still don't have diapers. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's wild. That intention piece is huge. And like the more you just, because sometimes those things are going to happen where you're like, what, how did I get here? I don't even understand what happened. But the more you're conscious of it, then you can be like, okay, wait, okay, let me stop doing this. Like the easier it is because, like you said, we all are addicted in some way. I mean, I don't know anybody who's not. Okay, so I love that with the dopamine. And another thing you talked about in one of your episodes was like your brain can be unhappy 50% of the time.
oh my God, that
And I want to
blew
talk
my
about
mind
that.
when I learned
Yeah,
that.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I learned about that a couple, like, God, I was pregnant when I learned about it. And I was like, oh, because it's one thing to be like, okay, I don't have meaning, I don't have this satisfaction, this enjoyment, like I'm struggling with my meaning in life. There's one thing to like know, okay, I'm not the happiest I could be because I really don't do anything all week that brings me joy. And
Yeah.
it's another thing to realize that kind of what you were just talking about of like, oh my God, then all of a sudden I'm on Instagram and I don't know how I got in this scroll hole and it's depleting me. It's another thing to literally not even realize that your brain is messing you up for happiness. And that's what we have to know, is that our brain is not wired for happiness. It's wired for survival. Our
Wow.
brain, at like the core of our brain, is so old, it's insane. It's like before we even can, I can't even conceptualize time and how old that part of our brain is. And so what happens with our brain is it's survival. It also doesn't like to work very hard unless you train it to. And
Mm,
so 47% is the percentage that they've found. 47% of the day, our brain goes into like this, what's called the default mode network. And the way that I think about this is like, I'm looking at my iPhone sitting here right now. There's a black screen. I'm not touching it. Nothing's going on. No one's calling me. It's not working actively. And so what does it do? It goes into its default mode network, which is a black screen. Our,
okay.
our brain does the same thing. So if we are not consciously using it, it's going to flip into the default mode network, which is literally a different part of your brain.
Wow.
Now, in that default mode network, it can do one of two things. It can do what I love to do, which is like daydreaming and like getting these great ideas. Like,
Yeah.
when you're in the shower and you're like, oh my God, I have the best idea. Or
Yes.
downloads if you're more on the spiritual side of things, and it can think about like my husband's like, I'm just the best daydreamer. I love it when I just start daydreaming. Like, or it can go into the default mode network where it ruminates and it replays the bad things and it
Mm,
is really self critical and it's picking out all the things that you did wrong or that fight that you just got into with that person that you really care about. Oh, it's like replaying how you messed up or they messed up or how much you hate them. Oh, that thing that you said when you were just with your friends, you're now ruminating on like, was that dumb? Should I not have said that? Like, wait, should I have said this differently? And
wow.
all of a sudden you're literally in these spirals of like self-deprecating thoughts, of being super critical, of over analyzing, of being anxious, of worrying. I don't know about you. Like my default mode network is set to worry. Like
Yeah.
my whole childhood, my mom was a worrier. And so I notice myself sometimes where I'm like just walking. I'm like, why am I worried about this? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
So our brain is doing this 7% of the day, which means obviously if it's stuck in the negative stuff, how could you be happy when you're ruminating on all these things?
So 47% of the time we're in that default mode network. And is there a percentage of which one we're going to be in, or that's just based on per person?
That's just based on per person. So if you
Okay.
are actively aware of this and you can catch yourself and like you said earlier, bring awareness to it, then
Mm,
hopefully you can start to wire your default mode network to go into the positives. If
mm,
you naturally are a worrier, if you don't talk about those things, if you're not working on healing some of those things, then it's going to go into the negative and it's going to be really freaking hard to be happy.
wow.
So, another thing that we can do is we can try to get ourselves out of the default mode network. So, if you realize, okay, I'm spiraling, we can bring ourselves into the present moment instead of going on daydreaming or worrying. You can
Yeah.
bring yourself into the present moment. And that goes into a different part of the brain. And then you can start utilizing gratitude or savoring type practices to then be here in the present, which you're going to be happier. So I'll do that where I'm like, whoa, I'm daydreaming. And I'm like, okay, hold on. And I'll literally look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, the trees are so green. The sun is really bright today. Oh my gosh, my dog is so funny right now. And I just name things as is in the present. I use my five senses and I'm like, oh my
Wow.
God, I love the way that these electrolytes taste. Like, oh,
Mhm.
this is really cold. And you bring yourself into your senses, which is going to bring your brain into the present. And that's going to support you in being happier as well.
Wow. Okay. So everyone notice right now to where their default mode network naturally goes. You can pay attention to it, especially too, again, if you're trying to conceive and you're always like
Thinking that.
thinking like, oh my God, especially in the 2 week wait, that could be super hard for people of like
For sure.
going into that negative headspace. The easiest thing you could do is either switch that default mode network to more daydream in the positive, which might be a lot harder, especially in that 2 week wait, especially where your hormone levels are at in the luteal phase, or might be more easy to just try and be in the present moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you could name it. Like, wow, I'm noticing that I'm having a lot of anxious spirals right now about pregnancy,
Mm,
right? Like, what do I want to be doing instead?
mm,
Right.
that's
And then this is again becoming the conscious driver of our lives because we know this. And Corinne, I know you and I strongly believe this is that our thoughts will literally manifest in different parts of our lives. I
yeah.
just had a trauma specialist on my show. I know you listened to it.
Oh,
And she literally said, she's like, we now have scientific research that shows that our thoughts literally create dis-ease in our body. Like,
I'm getting her on the podcast, by the way. That
oh
was
my gosh, I got chills. She's
so good.
amazing. She's so incredible. And she's a serious practitioner of her work. And like we know this, if we are continuously thinking anxious thoughts, we creating anxious energy in our body, it is going to affect our hormones.
Yes.
It affects your cortisol, it's going to affect your hormones, and it's going to lead to anywhere from a painful cycle to something more severe in life.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, if your default mode network is going to anxious loops and thoughts, then we don't even realize we're creating this stress in our body that is going to manifest physically as something else. Right. And
Mm,
so being aware of it, bringing that awareness, it's like, what do I want to be thinking instead? Or,
mm,
okay, I'm aware of this. Who can I talk to about this?
mm,
Or like, how can I get out of this part of my head and into my body? And what is something that would bring me joy right now? What's something that
yeah.
would make me feel better right now?
Mm,
And just being aware of it and having the skills and the tools. So much of happiness and just really living thriving lives is having the awareness and then the skills and the tools with that understanding. And we
yes.
can change our lives like that.
And like making a list of
Yes.
certain things like that you talked about too of like, okay, say you're like someone's like, okay, I'm realizing I'm feeling anxious, whatever, what can I do to bring me joy? You might not be able to think of it like in that moment, but if you
Yep.
have a list, put it in your notes app of like things maybe when you're feeling good that you're like, oh, this makes me happy, this makes me joy, this gives me excitement, or I feel satisfied after I do this, or this gives me meaning. Like you could look at your notes app and be like, okay, I'm gonna go do this right now. That could be a really good idea too.
Yeah. Have a joy list, have a happiness list, have like truly make a list. I love making lists again, dopamine, and like pull it up,
Yeah.
like call this person or go for a walk or stretch or turn on that one song and link your song or listen
Yes.
to this YouTube and link your YouTube. Like that is that is having such sovereignty and agency over your happiness and your health. And
Mm,
so but then you've got to be willing to actually do the darn thing.
yeah. Right. Which is obviously a whole other thing, which has to do with the dopamine and the motivation too.
For sure. Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So doing that in the morning is going to help in general anyway.
Yep.
Um, okay. So there are a couple of other things I definitely want to talk about making how to make habits stick. 'Cause I know you kind of talk about that too and what we could do for that. But before that, I want to like not wrap up the happiness because we're still talking about it, but like if you were to leave them with like, okay, I want you to go do these three things like every day, or
Mhm.
like what do you think it would be to help support their dopamine and then their like overall happiness?
Yeah. I'm like trying to think, I'm like, what's the biggest bang for the buck? I definitely think doing something in the morning to naturally support your dopamine is
Yes.
huge. Like
Yeah.
like truly I have studied this for years for myself. I'm like, let me see
Mhm.
if I can just willpower over this or whatever it is. I can't every single time. I fail every time. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the longest study on happiness was done over the course of 85 years. It's still going on. And the number
Wow.
one indicator for happiness is meaningful relationships,
Mm,
like connection and relationships. And it's weird because we live in a world that's we're more connected than ever before on the interwebs and on podcasts and all these things. But like, we really have to be connected in real life. And this is why like having community is so important. So I would say having one connection point with somebody outside of you every single day,
mm,
whether and outside of your child. Okay, if you live
right.
with a child, right, like outside of like it. And when I say connection, like look at your spouse. Do you really connect with them every single day? Like text your friend. I have a rule. It's like I started it when my daughter was born, when I was feeling really lonely postpartum, because postpartum's a really wild, lonely period. And I was like, okay, if I think of somebody, I have to reach out to them like in a
Mm,
text. And I have to like, not just like, hey, how are you doing? I have to like say, hey, I just have this new thing where if somebody I think about, I reach out. And I was just thinking about that trip that we took and da 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 da. And I just hope you're well. I really miss you. How are things going? And it's like
yeah.
a genuine connection point
Yes.
throughout the day. So that's does huge things for happiness.
I
And then
love
the
it.
other thing,
Sorry, pause you on that because I was just something I want to start implementing with my girlfriends. I just texted them about this yesterday because you could like text over but not really feel like you're connecting too
for sure.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But I was listening to, what podcast was it on? I think it was on the Almost 30 podcast. I forget who it was, but he was talking about like relationships and whatever. And something he does with his friends every single day is like they text each other a high and a low from the day. Like, what was your high? What was your low?
Yeah.
Which is such a good idea. You could just like pick a friend and be like, hey, like this is my high, this is my low for today. Like, what was yours?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's deepening. It's like it's the meaningful behind the conversation, you
Yes.
know?
Not just like,
And
hey, what's up? You know?
exactly. Yeah. And especially if you're like in person, I think we can often assume that you're like, if you're with people, you're connected. But
No.
I've felt this majority of my life where like I look around and I'm like, why am I surrounded by people, but I feel lonely? Like, why do
Yes.
I feel like I don't belong, even though I'm amongst like some of my best friends? Like this
Mm.
is this, and it's always the connection point. And so yeah, like
Yes.
conversation starters, like at dinner, what's everyone grateful for? What's something that everyone's struggling with? What's something that you're excited about? And
Mhm.
it's a game changer for our life and our health.
Even just being the one to go first and talk about something that's hard for you, because I've noticed this more so the last year than ever, of like whether you're talking about something with motherhood or your relationships, like whatever, it's like if you're in a group of a few people, I could probably almost say 100% of the times, at least one other person is going to have a similar experience, or they're going to then feel safe to open up about something they're struggling with. Like everyone is struggling with something, but a lot of times no one's talking about it.
Yep.
And once you're the one to finally like actually talk about it, it lets other people know it's safe for them to do it. And then you're actually like connecting. And this isn't like a bitch session where you're just like complaining and stuff. Like that's not what I'm talking about. But like it's actually going to let you like feel connected to them because you're being honest and sharing something that's maybe really hard or really good, whatever.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, I had a woman, a mental health specialist slash psychologist on the show a couple of months ago, and she talks about the shame that women hold when we're going through something difficult. And I
Mm,
asked her, I'm like, where does the shame come from? And she's got a phenomenal book called Normalize It. And she said, there's this societal norm, and you experience something outside of the societal norm. And then there's this stigma around what it is that you're experiencing. So you feel shame. And then what do we do when we feel shame? We stay silent about it.
yeah.
And what she talks about in the book is that, and the whole book is around this, is that this silence and shame and this stigma is actually what shape our lives as women.
Oh,
Like that shapes our lives, not happiness, not confidence, not vulnerability, not courage, not bravery. Like that's what shapes our lives as women. And so, it's a phenomenal conversation. And it's a great book. I highly recommend it for any woman. But if you're the woman that says, hey, I know that the societal norm is this, but I'm experiencing this, and you're literally breaking the silence, then you're also breaking the shame. You're also breaking the stigma. And then
yes.
you're growing closer. And then you're also more connected to yourself because of it.
Hmm. Oh my God. And this is so big in motherhood. I
Oh my
remember I
God.
was at a
So
baby shower and one of the women was there and she had a son, I think it was like right around the age of Madison at the time, under two, maybe like a year and a half or something. And she like lightly said something. She's like, oh, like, I'm still like breastfeeding him. And I was like, cool, me too. Like just do it right at the table. Like,
Yeah.
And she like, and then you could see the like, the like relief that she felt, because she felt like, because there's such a stigma, like, oh, you can't breastfeed past like infancy, or it's like
Right.
weird if you're still breastfeeding, or you have to like put a cover on or go in a bathroom or whatever. And the second she like said it like quietly, I was like, oh, I'm like, it's fine, like you could just do it right here. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, like I'm still breastfeeding too. And so it was just like, there's so many moments like that where so many women are doing the same thing, even with co-sleeping. Like people feel like they're
So
like,
true.
oh, they're in my bed. I'm like, me too. Isn't it great? And like, like
Yeah.
there's just so many things like that. And it's like once you just like connect in that way, you really do like drop the shame around it. This went in a whole other direction, but I love
No,
it.
it's so true. And even,
Yeah.
like in trying to conceive, in pregnancy, like in the entire journey, it's like
Yes.
yes, there's a societal norm, but there's also that you're going to do things your way. Like
Mhm.
I wake surfed when I was pregnant, and the number of people
Yes.
that were like, wait, are you serious? My midwives were like, of course you can wake surf. You are a skilled wake surfer. Of course you
Right.
can. Right.
Right.
And then a lot of women came out of the woodworks like, oh my God, thank you so much. I've been afraid to tell people that I go bike riding. And I'm like,
What?
what? Like
I know, it's so
so
crazy.
there's so much around it. And so yeah, it's having the courage
Mhm.
to come out and say like, hey, this is it. This is what I want
Yeah.
to say. And if it's against the norm, like that's how we really truly we become better off as women.
Yeah, and you connect, obviously, which is, and you feel more meaningful, whatever. So that's all wrapped up into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love where that went. So that was the like make your bed or something dopamine in the morning, have a meaningful connection with someone every day, and then what was the third one you were gonna say?
The third one, I think the biggest bang for the buck is going to be because I could say like a million things right now. And that's why
Yeah,
that's literally why I have my hit of happiness on Friday because it's
oh,
all of this.
so good.
Thank you. I would say going for, I like to call them my mental health walks every day.
Oh, preach,
Because
I love.
I know you do. I know you. I have like so many visions of you just like so cold in your beanie, like echoing your stories. It's like my favorite. I would say that because here's the thing. I'm also, we're moms, and so I don't
Mhm.
have all the time in the world. I
Yeah,
used to think that. I don't even know what I used to do with my time before I became a mom.
isn't it wild? I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
I like hate my own past self sometimes. I'm like, what did you do all
I
day?
walked for like 2 hours, like which was so great. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like make dinner. I was like, wow,
Oh
glad
my
I
gosh.
enjoyed every second of it.
Literally. But, I like to kind of look at like, again, what can I get my most bang for my buck for?
Yep.
And when you go on a walk and it's like a pretty decent walk, you are literally boosting every single neurochemical that's responsible for happiness and health, healthy hormones, everything.
Believe
Dopamine,
it.
serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins,
Mm,
every single thing that is responsible for being happier and being in a better mood and having more energy and more motivation and more drive, you're increasing it in a healthy way. So you're not going to get those crashes.
yes.
So it's a mental health walk, like
I
hands
love
down,
it.
the best thing you can do for yourself.
No one has ever gone for a walk and felt shittier. Like it just doesn't happen. Like you
No,
always feel better after. Is there a time limit where it's like it has to be like 30 minutes or like anything like that, or just any amount?
no, I mean, you're out, you're getting your sun, you're in nature, like every
Yeah.
single thing is guaranteed. And I don't even like putting a time on it because it's like, for me, I could literally walk
Even
outside
5 minutes.
for a minute and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm already feeling good. Like you guys can
So
feel
true.
like you can feel it. Also, for those of you that are going to become pregnant very soon, I'm betting, is
Mhm.
that they like when I was pregnant, my midwife was like 1 to 3 miles of walking does amazing things for pregnancy, but also for labor and delivery.
A
And
hundred
so I
percent.
kind of fell back in love with it when I was pregnant. And then I just do it every single day.
Oh my God. Yeah, obviously, like everyone listening knows, I walk every single day. I did throughout pregnancy. I do with Madison. Unless it's like pouring out, then I'll walk on a walking pad. And but and it's different. It still
It
does
is.
help walking, but it does not feel the same as going outside. Like it
No,
just
because you're
doesn't.
you're missing the serotonin piece. You're not getting the sunlight. You're not getting
Yes.
the nature. Like
Yep.
it's so different. Even walking in a city
Mm.
versus walking out on like a trail. Like if you're in New York City and you walk through Central Park versus the
Oof.
street, it is going to make you feel completely different.
Oh yeah. Way to get this regulated. Just drop you right in New York City. That shit is crazy. Okay, love that. It is so underrated too. People are so much more focused on like working out in other ways and not walking. And I'm like, go for a walk every time. Like it's gonna support you so much more in every aspect of your life. Obviously work out too, but I feel like if I have to choose between one or the other, I'm choosing a walk every time.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm preaching to the choir. We're going to get into we're kind of veering off of into a different type of conversation. But
Yeah.
as women, we live in a world that promotes chronic stress. And often we don't even, this was my whole life. I actually just thought about that this morning. My period started this morning. This is the podcast to talk about it on.
Love it.
And I was like, oh my God, zero symptoms, zero PMS, like absolutely. I didn't even know it was coming. I completely forgot about it. And I thought back to when I lived in the RV a few years ago when I had the most painful periods that
I
just
remember you
came.
telling me about it.
Oh my God, I would cry and cry for like an
Oh,
entire day. Anything that I tried to take, I not an Advil, I'm not like that type of, I don't like taking that stuff. And so
yeah.
anything that I would try, CBD, anything else, THC, nothing ever worked. And
Mm,
so I just thought back and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. Like I just kind of did a little reflection and I was like,
yeah.
why was it so bad? And I was like, because I didn't realize how my body was in a state of chronic stress. I didn't realize it. I
Yes.
was stress was normal my entire life. Chaos was normal, and so especially as women that are that way, we
Mhm.
often don't realize that stress, chaos, being a high achiever, working our tails off, like these are all it's cortisol, and your
Yes.
cortisol needs to be in a really good place in order to get pregnant and stay
Mhm.
pregnant, and
Mhm.
in
Not have
motherhood too.
periods. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, a lot of women have that, and then they're going to the gym crushing themselves, not realizing that that's still cortisol, that's still stressful.
Oh my
So
God.
that's why I'll always choose a walk, and I'll
Always.
because I know that it's not going to mess that part of my body up, and it's also
Mhm.
going to make me happier.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. Okay. I love that. Now, if this is a long one, we could maybe post it, but I want, because a lot of times, a lot of women will be like, they'll start a habit and then they won't stay consistent with it. Or
Yeah.
it's like hard for them to stay consistent with it. Like new habits that they know are going to help support them, like what we're talking about right now.
Yep.
All these habits. What is something that's going to actually be helpful for them to make habits stick? Which I know this could be probably a whole nother hour conversation, but whatever you could share
We'll make
about
it quick.
it. Yeah.
What we have to know is it's a lie when people say it takes 21 days to form a habit.
Ooh, okay.
It's literally, I have no idea where it came from. Probably somebody that wanted your money for something.
Brilliant,
It's
man.
literally the biggest lie. It actually, science shows that it can take 18 to 254 days to actually commit a habit. Because what's a habit? A habit is a new behavior. So
Right.
that's on average is 66 days.
Wow.
So I say this because I think a lot of people are like, okay, I'll just commit to it for 3 weeks. And they're like, this sucks. Or I'm going to commit to it for a week, assuming that I'm going to be a certain place and it sucks. Literally, it's 18 to 254 days. So just throw
Wow.
anything out the window of trying to commit to a habit, right? Throw it out the window.
Wow.
I would say the number one thing is that we have to change our identity around it.
Mm,
We could probably do like a 19-part series on habits. There's books on it. There's people who study this their entire
yeah.
life. Motivation and habit research and science is a real thing. I
Yeah.
would say the number one thing is, like I said, like it has to become a part of your identity. When
Mhm.
I was a chronic overexerciser, when I was a raging high functioning alcoholic,
Mm,
when I was eating not good food and I just didn't know how to feel my body, I literally had to change my entire identity to become a healthy, happy, thriving person, right? Same
mhm.
thing when I was in depression. Like there was a huge piece of it that I had to realize, hold on, what do I want? Who do I want to become? And then
Mm,
what are the habits around that? That's what I'm doing in motherhood right now. What kind of mom do I want to become? What kind of business owner and podcaster and mother do I want to be? And I create the identity first, because if we can connect like heart to heart and really feel that connection with who we want to become, and that is the North Star,
mm,
then it's like, well, then it's really simple. What do I have to do in order to get there?
right.
Like what do I have to do if I want to become a thriving entrepreneur and a thriving mom and a mentally healthy and physically healthy and strong woman? Well, of course I have to drink more water.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not trying to God, I remember, oh my God, this is taking me back. I remember having water bottles that I would have dry erase markers on, and then I would like wipe it away. And I'm like, okay, I only have to drink this whole water bottle 4 more times because I would drink, a venti coffee at lunch
Yeah.
instead of water.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to do that anymore because I naturally can be in touch with my body and just feel when it's hydrated and feel when it's not hydrated and love
Right.
myself and love who I'm becoming and hydrating it. I think a lot of people are trying to habit their way somewhere, but they don't love themselves in the process. They're
Mm,
doing it because they think they have to in order to blank, and that's never going to work. So it's
yeah.
creating this vision of who you're becoming. loving and respecting and appreciating and believing in that. And then asking yourself, well, what do I simply have to do? And it really does change everything.
I love that. How do you recommend them connecting to that identity?
Any way you want. Some people can connect to it well in meditation. I'm struggling at this point in my life with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Like closing my eyes and being silent is hard for me right now. And so I like to journal. I like to talk a lot. So do
Yeah.
you, Karen. Like I'm
Yeah.
a verbal processor. And so
Same.
for me, it can be as simple as meeting with my friends once a quarter and being like, okay, what's your goal? What's your vision? What's yours? What's yours? Or,
Yeah.
talking to my husband about it or my therapist about it, so
Mhm.
it's, what is your best way of dreaming and seeing a different future? And then start doing that.
Going for a walk and thinking about it. Like that is
Yes.
always so helpful.
Yeah. It's like, know yourself. And I think that's kind of the world of like mental health and self-growth and personal development is like, yeah, this works for this person, but like, what's going to work for you? And so
Oh my
it's
God.
knowing what's going to work for you.
Yes. Oh my God, I love this. This was so good. I talked to you for 17 more hours. Um, I love you so much. This was so good. Please tell everyone about Hope You're Well, about what you're doing, like plug the podcast, plug all the things.
Oh, thank you, babe. Yeah, Hope You're Well is my podcast. That's where you'll find me. I talk
So
all
good.
things, it's really helping people live happier, healthier lives in mental, physical, and emotional health.
Mhm.
And so you'll see me there Wednesdays. Fridays are, we've mentioned it a couple times, the hit of happiness. So it's
Oh,
like a
so
quick,
good.
I try to keep it around 10 minutes episode that's delivering you the science, like what the science actually proves, and then leaving you with tips that and like integration pieces that you can take in your life so that you actually can integrate what the science says into your life and
It's
make
so
yourself
good.
happier.
It's so good. I love it. I listen to like every episode. I love it so much. You're such a good podcaster. I loved you. I think that's how I
Thank
found you
you.
was your first podcast back
Oh
whenever
my
I think it
gosh.
was the Jen Kennedy podcast or whatever. But like I think that's how I initially found you. You're always so good
Yeah.
at podcasting.
Thank you.
Um and the episodes are so good. I texted her the other day. I was like, "Where's my Friday hit of happiness?" She's like, "I couldn't do it this week." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I was like, my chicken died. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah, I'm like,
God.
sorry, I'm such an asshole. I'm like, where's my episode? And you're
You're
like,
like, listen, get over your grief.
oh my
Okay.
God,
I need to be
sorry.
here today.
Yeah. But they're so good. You're just so good on just like audio or on everything. I just love you so much. But like, I love it's so simple. It's like one thing you could easily go take away. It's quick. Like, it's like I said, you're a mom. So it's things that you can easily implement in your life. It doesn't take you a million years. So good. Highly recommend the show. We'll put it in the show notes. And obviously you're on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Same name for both or no?
I think it is. It's Jenna
Jenna,
Kennedy.
yeah, it's Jenna Kennedy, same one, right? Okay. We'll link it below though. So good. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this with us. I love you. Everyone go listen to her podcast. Share this too. Like share this on social media, share with a friend, whatever, and tag us. It's like the best thing you could do to thank our guest for coming and sharing her time because I know you got so much out of this. Jen, I appreciate you and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.